Coming front court, across the timeline with 10, knocked away, Dudley Bradley for the stop, 70-68, 3, 2, 1, Matthews off balance, off the glass, Dudley Bradley's defense did it. And ready on his second attempt. That one is no good, they battle for it, loose ball, recovered Marvin, he scores! Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good! Off the glass! Oklahoma calls timeout, but the game is over! The game is over! Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma!
Turns it over! Kenny Williams with the steal. Gets it to Barry. 17 seconds to go. Barry, Duke not fouling. Gets it to Johnson. To Pinson for the highlight. Inbounds goes deep on the right sideline to make. Holy smokes, a long three! Are you kidding me? Holy cow! Vincent gets all the way to the rim, and what a way to pick up his first field goal of the season by throwing down the tomahawk.
With 20 seconds left to play, goes back to Michael Jordan, jumper from out on the left, good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11, Georgetown with one timeout. Fred Brown looking, oh, way to Worthy! 35, the Tar Heels are going to win the national championship.
Rebounded by Weber. Michigan out of timeout. Weber front court, Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out to Head. Long outside shot. Short rebounded. Hey, it's over. Carolina has won the national championship. How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
That's it! Make room for 2017. The Tar Heels are the national dadgum champions.
This is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Joshua Marlowe. Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. Josh and Anthony here with you. We're back. It's, buddy, believe it or not, it is fall. The weather, or
you're not convincing me of that right now here in the state of North Carolina. But.
Yeah, but believe it or not, it is fall, which means basketball season is right around the corner.
Right.
And some stuff has happened in Chapel Hill to kind of get us more prepared for that, and we're going to talk about all those things in this edition.
Oh, you're talking about the football team.
Oh, God.
No.
Okay. All right.
Come on. You know I had to get a joke.
We're gonna talk about, what really matters on the campus of North Carolina. Women's soccer.
Don't do this.
Women's soccer. Women's soccer.
Women's field hockey with a win over Duke, number 1 versus number 2.
And the diving team won the other day. So, I mean, just we're well-rounded. Here at Carolina.
We are currently in the process of adding a section to the website for the diving team and also putting together a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, one day we'll finally get the dream.
Heels in the water.
Oh, my God. One day we'll finally get the beloved sport of curling on campus at Carolina. It's
got to be there, right? It's got to be a club sport.
I mean,
have to find out.
It is my lifelong dream
to
cover curling.
Move over, Bob Costas. Here we come.
At the national level or the collegiate level. But in all seriousness, Carolina basketball is now – we're 31 days away from a game that matters. Believe it or not, we're basically a month away from playing games. Of course, the season opener is at home against Notre Dame.
Yep.
And 2 Fridays ago, Carolina kicked off their basketball season with the annual Late Nite With Roy event. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you and I were not able to attend for the first time in 3 years. High school football had us in other areas and couldn't make it up there for the event.
Unfortunately, it's true.
So we're just going to talk about it. Look, we know what late night is in 2019. In the old days, it was their first practice of the year. But now with moved up practices and all that, late night is really just a celebration where you get to see the team dance, act stupid, and scrimmage each other.
This was pretty close, though, to being near the first practice of the year. This is the earliest it's been in a long time.
Yeah, Carolina actually had their first practice the Thursday before Late Night with Roy. So, which was, of course, the day before.
Right.
And so the scrimmage didn't disappoint, as it normally doesn't. The teams tied, so there wasn't a winner or a loser.
Was the event as good as Kansas's event? which involves Snoop Dogg with explicit singing, and also some adult dancers.
Yeah.
Let's say. Was it on that level? A little different.
I expect nothing less from Kansas, considering who runs that program. Really not the smartest idea.
I thought it was kind of funny that they were pretty much just saying to the NCAA, well, you think that, what we did was bad before. Check this out.
Yeah, it was kind of like a middle finger to the NCAA.
Is it bad that I would rather see Roy dance than see the adult dancers dance?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that coming up.
Let's dive into this. I needed to get the Kansas reference in there because that was funny. That was very, very good showing for Kansas from everybody's perspective.
Yeah, they were getting clowned on Twitter over the weekend.
Do you know that they hired a guy in their department? Name is Rick. Not really. We're still trying to find out the last name. Apparently Rick P, but we can't put it together.
Yeah, okay, now let's move on before you make an inappropriate joke. The scrimmage was what it normally is. You see some good stuff, you see some bad stuff, especially with a team that on paper is going to look experienced, but they haven't played a lot together. And you had some standouts. Cole Anthony scored 8 points, hit 2 threes, had a really nice pick and roll play with Armando Bacot, showing that they kind of have some growing chemistry in the early part of practice. Christian Kelling led the way, 13 points, 5 of 8 shooting. He didn't hit a 3 to get his 13 points. So that's kind of encouraging, saying that he can score in many other ways than standing behind the 3-point line. Brandon Robinson also had 12 points. 5 of 8 shooting as well, hit 2 3-pointers. I think the biggest storyline about the scrimmage was a lot of guys that didn't play. Anthony Harris, Jeremiah Francis didn't play. Andrew Platek didn't play. Sterling Manley and Bleaky Black all did not participate in the scrimmage. Pretty good chance for the blue squad to get some action early on in the year.
Other guys getting looks.
But so just initial takeaways from the scrimmage, knowing that you can't take a whole lot out of it, but if you ever could take it out of it, this could be a year you'd learn a thing or two.
Yeah, well, it's hard to, like you said, you're not supposed to take a lot out of it because again they're playing each other. Usually they're pretty familiar with each other when for the last couple of years that we've been going to Late Night with Roy. This year a little different. The guys only had one practice before this. Now, they had, Roy mentioned in his press conference on Media Day, they had other practices in the summer, but it's 4 practices, once a week in the middle of the summer. So, they know a little bit about each other, but not a ton. So, like you said, Cole Anthony having a good connection with Armando Bacot. I think both of those guys are really just free minds who are coming in. They know that they're really talented players, and, they know that, look, there's a lot of different things that they can do for this offense and defense. There's a lot of different things that these guys are going to be able to do together, and I thought that was really encouraging to see them play well. To see Kelling play well is also really good because, look, he's going to be a big part of this team one way or the other, especially on the offensive end. That was what he did so well at Charleston Southern. Now he comes to Carolina, and look, he looks like the real deal. A guy that can drive the basket a little bit. He's got some good size on him as well, so he's going to be a factor out of that 3 spot. I think we were kind of wondering, okay, can he sort of step up and look the part to where we can feel comfortable that if we have to put him at the 3 and just run with him there, we can also we can use Leaky Black at the point guard if needed. And I think that he showed, look, he's going to be a factor this year. He's going to be able to step up and play well for this team. And then Brandon Robinson with 12 points. Look, this is a guy that we have said all offseason is one of the 2 guys on this team mainly that has to step up and become a leader both vocally and with his play on the court. This is a good start for him. He's going to be coming off the bench. We know that. Okay, Justin Pierce is probably going to start over. But if he can come off the bench and put that type of performance on and become a consistent guy that can score, somewhere between 9 and 11 points per game, I feel like he's going to have a successful senior season. I think that seeing that performance in a game where you were lacking a lot of guys and you needed some people to step up to sort of ease some of the concerns about all the guys that were missing from the game, think that was huge for Brandon Robinson.
Yeah, he carved out a role last year as a guy that come off the bench and give you some points production. It's going to need to be much more this year, and it'll be interesting to see, how he does. He appears a lot more comfortable on the court, which is expected as a guy who's now a senior, but has also never played any more than maybe 15 minutes a night, and that's mainly in non-conference play. So he'll be a guy that, we'll keep an eye on once the games start getting played. I think the biggest thing that came out of Late Night with Roy is the lack of depth, mainly at the point guard position right now, with the injuries to Anthony Harris and Jeremiah Francis.
And apparently now Leaky Black, too. Or we don't know.
Leaky Black is still recovering from stuff he had done in the offseason. I guess that's where I'm getting at. There's a pretty good chance, even if he's ready to go to start the year, which there's nothing to say he won't be, he's going to be a starter at another position on the floor. Are we ready to trust Cole Anthony November 6th against Notre Dame to play 35 minutes, a night moving forward until these guys get healthy and coming off the bench?
Well, here's all I'm going to say. If there is a guy that Carolina has recruited at point guard under Roy Williams that could probably handle this task, from everything that we're hearing from media people, from players on the team that have played with him, from Roy himself, it's this guy. This kid is different. Look, Roy said, when we heard on media day, we were listening to his press conference here a little while ago. He's not quite the same scorer that Kobe was. Kobe was just a machine scoring the basketball. But he's a guy that really, if you look at him as a recruit, he might be the most complete point guard that Roy has brought in. It's amazing what this kid's upside is everywhere. Like, not only is he a guy that is going to be able to score the ball at times, he's going to be able to get people involved because he is that good of a passer of the basketball. He is a guy that will show effort on the defensive end and should be able to cause people some problems. This is a kid that, look, you honestly almost might have no choice here. But, if Leaky is healthy, you can probably play Leaky 10 minutes if needed at point guard for right now. You might have to trust, a little bit more in Christian Kelling than you thought you might have to early on, or Justin Pierce. But, you bring up a good point because, Anthony Harris is, recovering from a knee injury. Seems a little bit closer. I still don't think he's going to play a whole lot this year at all. And then Jeremiah Francis will not play this year. He is recovering from that injury. They said that when we wrapped up the recruiting class. He's not going to play in 2019. He's still got a ways to go. And then you lose this again. We talked about this when everybody was bashing the fact that we thought Seventh Woods leaving was a big thing. Look back at this right now and say, okay, maybe this was a little bit bigger than we originally thought. It also doesn't help. Andrew Platek was a guy that we know, if needed, could bring the ball up a little bit as well. He's also apparently working through something. We don't really know. Don't know the reason why he didn't play in the scrimmage at Late Night with Roy. So I don't know. You're right. There is a little reason to be concerned here, but if there's a guy that you can be confident in that can handle playing 32, 35 minutes a night early in his career at the college level, it's probably Cole Anthony.
I just think it's interesting. When we looked on this team, we looked at this team on paper after the recruiting cycle ended in the summer.
Right.
This was as deep a team as Carolina has had since 2012. At every position, they could go 2, sometimes 3 deep. You fast forward 3 months with some injuries that have been there, some that have popped up, and now you've got a question of depth at the most important position in the program.
Are we talking about the basketball team here? I feel like we're talking about the football team with these references. Depth issues, most depth at the most important position in the program. You're right, though. Just at the one, it's very weird because it's focused really on one position.